and welcome back to the Lions Led by Donkeys podcast. I'm Joe, and with me on this boat called the Bow Wow
SS
is
Depression.
Liam.
SS, if we like what we do here, right after we talk about some of the most horrific crimes against humanity ever documented.
While that may be true, Liam, that is not what we're doing today, thankfully.
Yeah, I like, it's so funny to me because, people, like, I tell people, like, I record podcasts, I do have a 9 to 5, but I record podcasts, and they're like, oh, that's so cool, like, yeah, I can't wait to listen, and I'm like, slow your fucking roll, bud. Like...
Man, it's really interesting to me because, like, for what I never intended the show to turn into this, but, like, when you talk about history, it's going to turn into
people do
that.
genocide a lot, as it turns out.
Yeah, it's a thing.
And fuck shit with boats.
And fuck shit up with boats. Like, people are like, what's your podcast about? I just say military history because they're immediately turned off by that.
Yeah. I say military history. But my favorite thing is occasionally, like, someone will, someone, like, I've had to explain because, like, we don't do ads on There's Your Problem. We don't do ads here, and I don't do ads on 10,000 Losses.
Or will we ever? Except that one time where we did an ad for a friend.
We might do an ad on 10,000 Losses. I don't have many morals about that.
Fair enough.
It's a sports podcast, man. But
it's gonna be an ad for Barstool Sports.
It's not gonna be an ad for Barstool Sports. I will be dead in the ground before I give Dave Portnoy anything.
Hi, I'm Liam from 10,000 Losses, and when I'm getting ready to podcast, I put on a nice, refreshing pot of Black Rifle coffee.
Bro, if Black Rifle reached out, I'd probably do it for the bit. I'm not gonna lie to you. I had to sit through, what was it, Range 15?
Oh yeah,
you made me do that.
You know what? I'm so mad. I'm so fucking mad at Francis. I'm not really. I love Francis, but I tried to get him on that episode. He was like, "No, absolutely not. I'm never going to watch that movie." And I was like, "Okay, fine." And then he had me go on Hell of a Way to Die. Go listen to Hell of a Way to Die, and we watched The Boondock Saints. And we're gonna have to listen. We're gonna have to watch the second one, which, in my opinion, is actually worse than Range 15.
It's not very good.
Yeah, I don't know. Fucking asshole. I'm calling you out, Francis. I hope you listen to this.
I did. Someone was asking me to describe There's Your Problem to. They were like, can you like describe it in like just a few words? And I was like, yeah, it's a leftist engineering disaster podcast with slides and jokes. They were like, what? And I'm like, yeah, and it makes a shit ton of money. Thanks.
Podcasts are kind of like new here. Like, for instance, I'm friends with the guy who literally made the first podcast here.
That's cool as shit, though.
Yeah. He's great. He actually might be editing this. I don't know. But so like people like ask me for like podcast recommendations. I'm like going down the Rolodex of podcasts I listen to. Like, first one is like Knowledge Fight, which is like 99% of laughing at Alex Jones. Like, okay, I cannot recommend that.
Right.
My second, like Trash Future, British politics. Can't recommend that. Hell of a Way to Die, about being like weird, mostly American veteran news and stuff. Can't recommend that. I like Last Podcast on the Left. Definitely not going to recommend that to you guys. Like, it's like, well, There's Your Problem. Ugh, can't recommend that either.
Why? Is it because of all the jokes about cum?
I don't think it would hit the same.
It's just like,
yeah, it might be the things about cum. I mean, to be fair, we're not that popular in Armenia either, and I live here, so. Speaking of things not popular in Armenia,
oh boy,
boats.
Yeah, fair enough.
If that joke doesn't land, look at a map. If
it doesn't land,
I'm going to claim that I did that on purpose. When we left you last time, the self-appointed Rear Admiral Jeffrey Basil Spicer Simpson and his crew of drunks, race car drivers, and one chimp named Josephine had dragged...
I forgot. R.I.P. God bless Josephine, man.
No, don't R.I.P. Josephine. Josephine's fine. Just don't put that on me. Josephine is alive.
At this point, well, now today she probably is not, Joe.
We don't know that. She could have become one of the elder gods. We're not sure. And you know what? I'm actually going to preface this since we've already talked about how the show is super depressing.
Yeah.
The only people that die in this episode are German.
Oh, good.
I can I'll let you be the judge if that's a good thing or not.
Yeah, hell yeah, it's a good thing.
And certainly not Josephine.
I'm nuanced.
Josephine and her crew. I'm going to go ahead and say Josephine's in charge.
Our merry band of morons.
Yeah, that's like the way to look at it, right? Like, this isn't like a military mission as much as like if you were to make a movie or a novel for that matter. Like we have to make the weirdest crew of people that could possibly never actually be on a naval mission,
right?
And we're going to put them on a naval mission. It's like McHale's Navy. Yeah, it's like McHale's Navy, but World War One. But it actually happened. That's the fun part. But they dragged their 2 motorboats thousands of miles through Africa to fight a pointless battle over a lake. And by the end of last episode, they had finally found the Germans.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it had only been several months, and somehow nobody's dead yet. That was one of the more astonishing things I found while researching this is while Fitz corraldoing a navy through the African jungle, none of the crew were accidentally crushed to death.
Genuinely impressive considering just how wackadoodle fucknuts bad this should be going.
And even low, someone's going to die of malaria or something, right?
Yeah.
Or they're going to get clapped by dengue or something.
Part for the course would be to get clapped by malaria.
Yeah.
You would expect that.
It turns out being on the mission where you have to like drag hundreds of pounds of boat up a mountain was like the best place to be in World War One. Because when you think about like the other option, especially the Scottish guys who joined, the other option is like being on the Western Front.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that is less preferable. Whatever, I'll just take the boat up the hill. Like it sucks, but it sucks within like sort of the normal confines of understanding, rather than just being fed into a wood chipper for 15 hours a day.
Yeah, like, wait, you're saying that dragging this boat up a mountain
is preferable to like Verdun? Yes.
Yeah. Like my odds of survival are better here. All right, strap me up to that boat, motherfucker. Now, when I say that they found the Germans, I don't mean any official member of the 28-man crew. 29, counting Josephine.
Oh, Josephine.
Yeah.
Our sweet angel. Our sweet angel.
It was actually they were all actually like sleeping or Spicer was having tea because of course he was in his own officer-built hut, but it was a crewman named Tubby's African servant. Now that is the term used for them. Their name's Marapandi, but I don't know if the term slave is fitting here because they couldn't legally have slaves.
They were sure going to try, though.
Yeah, I think it's more of a valet situation. Like it was his African manservant or something like that. To which we
will not be answering any more questions. Now, moving on.
yeah. I'm going to say either way, Tubby's probably an asshole.
Yeah,
I feel comfortable saying that.
It's probably. I think you're pretty much beyond reproach in saying that.
Yeah. Now, Marapandi was left on watch, despite the fact, again, he was a guy who served tea and fixed his uniform and had no military training whatsoever. But he managed to spot the German paddle steamer, the Kingani. It was... Now, most of these aren't actually warships. Like, I need to underline that again. Pretty much everything is like, for instance, the Kingani is like a customs ship from Germany's East Africa that they just strapped. This was a ship they stole, onto.
Right? Yeah.
Well, this one is the Germans didn't steal it. This was theirs.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was British. My bad.
But it was well, we have this boat for customs inspection. Let's put a 6-pounder cannon.
Why not?
On it.
You know.
Yeah, and most of these aren't warships. Which makes everything that's about to happen even more ridiculous, like including like I'm going to use the term high speed chase relatively here because none of these things are going very fast,
right?
But like There's like a high-speed motorboat paddle steamer battle.
Jesus
it's like,
Christ.
yeah. It's like this is if like two swan boats got machine guns strapped on them.
War as hell, but at least it's also pretty funny. Yeah. Sometimes
war as hell. It's also incredibly stupid.
Oh yeah, like inconceivably so. We should say.
Now, when the Kingani pulled up, the only reason that this Spicer's men in their hut didn't get bombed is because the Belgian ship, and I swear to God, this is its name, the Dix Ton.
Dix Ton.
Pulled up. Now, is there a possibility that this is a francophone pronunciation? Yes.
Fuck you.
Is
you know?
Is it almost certain that I'm doing this because it's written Dix Ton? Yes. When you don't look at Dick's ton directly in the mouth.
So no, one-eyed.
They pulled up alongside the British camp, and the Germans scampered off. Decided they didn't want none of that Dick's ton.
Dick's ton smoke.
The German ship pulled away. Now it was decided they would have to rush and build a harbor in the same camp area because. So far, the Mimi and the Toutou were on these like.
Yes, I forgot about the Mimi and the Toutou.
How could you possibly forget about the champion Mimi and the second Toutou? They were like in these weird box frame things, and they were pulled up on shore. None of their weapons were mounted, and which, if you remember all the way back to the beginning of the first episode. That was kind of the point, that they'd be able to move so quickly. They'd just be able to like drop them into the lake like on like a bathtub toy and just take off. But they'd actually been so badly damaged during the transit that they realized they wouldn't be able to do that. And they had to pull them ashore. So they needed a harbor, like a small harbor, mind you. These are fucking 40-foot motorboats, not exactly a warship. So they could float them, refit them, arm them, and repair them.
So we must protect the pride of the British Navy here.
Yes.
HMS Dauntless and this.
Yeah, the remember, this is solidly the era of the dreadnought. And arguably the most important British naval victory of World War I is going to be done here.
I love it. Yeah.
Now I say important because like the Battle of Jutland meant nothing.
This means nothing, man.
Fair enough, but it meant more than Jutland.
Okay.
Like it's a low. We're talking low bar here. Now there was actually something of a natural harbor not that far away, and the Belgians were like, "Why don't you just do it there?" And Spicer was like, "No, we're gonna do things my way."
I'm taking my toys back.
And like importantly, he was actually in charge of the of all Allied forces on the lake. So the Belgians couldn't actually just be like, "You're a fucking idiot, go down there." They had to listen to him.
The dicks, whoever.
The Dix Ton. So yeah, at this point, the Germans didn't see the Mimi and Toutou, but they did see this like camp. So like they knew something was up. However, building this harbor that Spicer wanted meant that the crew and dozens of local laborers, mostly Holo Holo tribesmen, these aren't slaves, these are actually like free tribesmen, they pay for labor. I don't know why it's an important distinction. I guess this makes them one step up above the Belgians.
Whoa, low bar, baby. Welcome to the low bar Olympics.
Yeah. That is the subtitle for this podcast. This low bars all around. Now, one of the problems with working in a deep lake in the Great Lakes region of Africa is, would you guess, crocodiles and shit?
Don't fuck with crocodiles, man. Mm-mm.
Yeah, don't fuck with crocs. Well, there's crocs everywhere.
Yeah, still, I don't like crocodiles. I don't like alligators. I'm not fucking trusting anything unchanged since the KT extinction, dude. Not for Liam. Stay the fuck out of the Everglades. You cannot make me go to the Everglades.
So, question from the Legion: how much money do we have to pay Liam to fist fight an alligator?
$8.
All right.
Whatever 2-4 logos cost.
I think with inflation, $8. You know, inflation's a motherfucker. The loco inflation.
It's tough out here, you know.
Yeah, it's tough out there for a guy who makes a living fist fighting alligators. I would much rather, like, obviously alligators are are a better choice than crocodiles. But there's crocodiles all over this lake, and people know it. They're terrified. And working on this harbor meant that they had to be up like waist high in water.
Fuck no, dude.
Would they might as well just hang fucking meat from their belts at this point.
Exactly.
And when people were like, that seems
Don't
like a bad idea,
this, boss.
yeah, I'm gonna file an OSHA complaint. We're gonna conduct a wildcat strike on the fucking crocodiles. Spicer, of course, told them to shut up. The Belgians
will
actually
continue until morale improves.
The beatings will continue until the crocodiles are fed. No, the Belgians, despite being horribly evil, actually knew a little bit about dealing with crocodiles because they live there.
Oh, I figured they probably enslaved them or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they also have crocodile slaves.
I hate Belgians, man.
Little known fact about King Leopold II is his large retinue of crocodile slaves.
I suppose points for innovation, I suppose. Doesn't feel good saying that, by the way.
Now, King Leopold, why is it that you enslaved crocodiles? They can't possibly be good for anything. Well, you see, it's the principle of the matter.
Of the thing, right? That's what I say.
They kind of knew an idea, which was if you throw dynamite into the lake, it scares off the crocodiles.
That's sound reasoning, at least.
Yeah, I mean, if you went to, I don't know, like the University of Acme Crocodile Control, like,
I did,
all right,
I did.
Thank you, Professor Wile E. Coyote. And how should we get rid of the crocodiles? Oh, you see, you simply yeet dynamite into the same water where your men are working.
Tell them to duck,
And I mean, like, to be fair, it's not like there's frag or shrapnel in the dynamite that they're throwing in. So other than, probably being slightly deafened and terrified, the men are fine as they work on the harbor as the water explodes around them.
I don't like this. I don't like it when my construction sites are like a scene out of Apocalypse Now.
You see, this is remember when we did an episode on the charge of the light brigade when we had Roz on, and he just kept talking about us striking in the logistics area. See, this is exactly what he would do.
I don't know, man. I'm just like, I don't like the idea of like, hey, go build this thing or whatever, and then what I have to do is fucking duck dynamite as I'm doing it.
Yeah, I mean, if building a harbor and a lake isn't hard enough, you got to spice it up a bit by just like Kobe Bryaning sticks of dynamite over your head.
That sucks so much.
Now, remember I was talking about the tribesmen that were helping build the harbor and everything else. They were German spies. Now, not good, officially.
Good, honestly,
mind you.
Good.
Actually, it gets better than this. They weren't officially German spies. They spied on the Belgians, the British, and the Germans. They were in business for themselves.
We're talking highest bidder shit? Yeah.
Now, they were more of a wild card, but it really seems like they didn't actually like the Germans all that much.
Nobody does. Get in line.
No, I think it's because the British treated them better than the Germans, and they also fucking hated the Belgians for obvious reasons. Yeah, it couldn't be the generations of the unspeakable horror.
It's probably the unspeakable horror, honestly.
Yeah, it might be the unspeakable horror now that you mention it. But the Spicer was, for all of Spicer's flaws, he was pretty nice to the locals. He gave them food, water, and like booze, tea, stuff like that. So like he kind of
bribed his
way. He didn't exactly win them over, but
the minds, Joe.
They were telling him a lot of stuff. So using these spies, word eventually got back to the German lake commander Gustav Zimmer that something was going on over there, and so he wanted to get a closer look and to see exactly what the tribesmen were talking about. However, when Zimmer aboard the Kingani floated up in the middle of the night, the Belgians actually opened fire on them, and they scampered off again. After that, the Germans stayed back.
Three-way war of just like bullshit, nonsense, disappointment.
Yeah, this war is like, the battle is completely pointless, and I feel like everybody involved kind of knows, other than the Germans, because the Germans are really pressing here. I have a hard time thinking, especially when we finish.
I say, for my consumer, which is rapidly being eaten by alligator with crocodiles.
Like, I have a hard time thinking that even though Spicer's kind of a nutbag, that he would have really pressed the offensive when he was done.
Oh, he was busy drinking tea, dude.
Yeah, he's just hanging out with Josephine.
He's watching his boat sink.
Drinking tea, watching the classic British sports of throwing dynamite at crocodiles. Now, after that, the Germans stayed back, not really wanting to attack in any force for some reason. Like, nobody's sure why, because they have an opening here. The Dick's ton is there, of course, but like the Germans
slurping it up.
Slurping up that sweet crocodile juice. And like the Germans have 3 ships for war on the lake.
Ships for war.
I won't call them warships.
One of these is a customs boat.
Yeah, I think this is the boat version of a technical, because it's like they're all like weird like riverine paddle boats with guns on them. But yeah, they don't attack. Nobody's sure why. Now, eventually,
baby back bitches.
They're afraid of Josephine. They saw Josephine just flexing on a cliffside, like, "Ooh, we gotta stay away from that."
Shit wrapped around a stick of dynamite to add a crocodile to assert dominance of the species. Yeah,
that's right.
As you do, of course.
Now, around the end of December, the harbor was done, and the Mimi and Toutou were finally launched. Everything was attached. They got loaded up and made ready for combat, and they even test fired their cannons. Because if you remember the first time they flew off like a cartoon. This time that didn't happen.
You got to stop going to the Acme School of Engineering.
Yeah, it sucks. They have free admission, so a lot of people end up attending. Now, the reason for the German scouting missions and kind of apprehension probably wasn't because of the Mimi and the Toutou. Now, there were rumors that the Belgians were building an actual armored warship called the Baron Donaghy that would have fucked them up. And
who was supposedly building this? The Germans or the Belgians?
The Belgians.
Okay.
Because there is a little bit of truth behind this. They had tried. They had done the same thing that the Germans had done, which is like ship a ton of pieces overland. And we're gonna like put it together.
Shit, yeah.
Yeah. But instead of having sick ground effects or whatever, like it just kind of rusted. They never built
that
it.
Stuff. I gotta tell you, the phrase Belgian warship does not exactly strike fear into my heart.
It definitely does not, no. But you know, it does strike fear into the heart of every man.
Dynamite crocodiles?
What if the Fast and the Furious built warships?
I'll watch that movie.
That's 100% better of what they're on, like 10 now.
Yeah, I think
9
so.
or 10. It's just like
these movies used to be about
slapping off the side of them. Now they're about family. Actually, I don't know what they're about. I know they like absorb every action star that's in the world at any given time, like the Expendables, but not ironic. Oh,
I don't think I've ever seen a Fast and the Furious movie, to be honest with you.
I have seen the first 3. I've seen the first one, which is fine. The second one, which is notably bad, and the third one, which I think is Tokyo Drift, which is terrible. Because it's just about a man discovering his new fetish. I don't know. It was definitely pitched by like a guy who was into Toonami or something.
I don't like the idea of being into Toonami. Thank you.
Now, another thing that reinforced this idea that they were trying to build an actual warship is that, remember how Spicer is calling himself a rear admiral?
Yeah.
He had a flag too.
Oh, for God's sakes!
Because of course he did, right? Like, of course he would have a rear admiral flag, and he was flying it from his camp.
This fucking guy, man.
He inadvertently kind of owned the Germans here, because the Germans floated up like, "Oh fuck, a rear admiral flag. That must mean like
the British are serious,
is coming." Right. Yeah, because there's no reason that a rear admiral be commanding, say, 2 small motorboats.
but they're fearsome motorboats. That's the detail.
Yeah. Like in comparison, the German commanders were all captains, like rather than admirals. So they're like, he must be in charge of something. Must be serious, right? Serious. Yeah. Whoops.
Good job, morons.
Spicer's own lunacy helped to defeat the Germans, which is kind of impressive. So, okay, do you know what a semaphore is?
Yes.
Okay.
Naval code flags.
Okay. So I'm not a ship guy, and so maybe some people like myself listening are not ship people. Ship centaurs, if you will. Half man, half ship.
Ugh. No, that's kind of arousing to me, actually.
Oh. So for people who don't know, a semaphore in regards to ships can be signaling in general. It can be with flags, lights, reflective mirrors, whatever, in order to pass a message using a special alphabet or Morse code, depending on what system you happen to be using. Now, knowing how to do this or send and receive a semaphore is considered a pretty basic skill for a naval officer.
Sure.
And for enlisted men, they have like signalmen. That's their whole job.
Right, yes.
Now, when the boats were out on the water doing tests, Spicer kept trying to send a signal to the other boat, trying to give them orders. But he got mad when the other boat wasn't listening to them. When he got back to shore, the signalman on the other boat, named Tasker, asked what exactly Spicer was trying to send him because it didn't make any sense.
Right, sure.
So quickly became apparent that Spicer had no idea how to use a semaphore.
Yeah, buddy. Captain Moron rides again.
So rather than do something to fix this, say like learn how to do, like he probably learned how to do it at Naval Academy, whatever, and just forgot because he's old. He's older than shit. He's the oldest guy in the crew. Yeah,
I keep forgetting probably. This guy had been in the Navy, like was a legitimate naval guy. Just.
Yeah. He's been in the Navy like 10 years or longer.
Never got promoted.
Nope. So like rather than like, I don't know, brush up on some signal books or something.
It's the children who are wrong.
it's the signalman that is incorrect. He ordered Tasker to never, remember Tasker's the signalman, to never get on one of his boats again. So that meant he now had two boats with no signalman. That's right. Yeah, I might be wrong, but if there isn't a signalman on the other boat, nobody can tell me that I'm wrong.
Yep.
4D chess, baby.
That's sound logic, I guess. I don't know what you call that, really.
It's Spicer logic.
You love to see it? You're kind of confused to see it, really?
You don't really know what you're seeing because you can't understand a semaphore?
We're all God's children of the dark, I guess.
So on Boxing Day,
after Christmas, for those of you who don't know.
Yeah. For those who are, where is Boxing Day? Is British, Canadian, I assume Australian, New Zealand,
Commonwealth countries.
Commonwealth. In that case, the day after Christmas, I don't recognize the Commonwealth right to exist.
No,
the Kingani slowly putted away from the British camp. Because remember, paddle boats.
Guys making the noise.
Nobody's here's moving very fast.
Need for Speed, this is not.
And as he pulled away, Spicer saw an opening. It was time for his two glorious warships, the tiny the tiny motorboats, the Toutou and the Mimi, to go to war. Now, this is actually a problem for the Germans. Remember, this is they have a paddle steamer,
right?
And it was the Mimi and Toutou are much smaller and have like outboard motors,
right?
Which are incredibly unreliable but much faster. And like the Kingani is a steamship, so like when it's being chased, like for people unaware how a steamship works, they have to take time to like shovel more shit into the burner to build up steam to be able to go faster.
It's not literally feces, Joe. It's cold.
No, it's shit. It's shit. It's shit.
You know what? Fine. Shit. It's doing biomass stuff. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. Like the German Empire was very eco-conscious.
Yeah, I mean Hitler passed anti-smoking legislation, so
yeah, he loved animals.
He did love animals.
The Kaiser decidedly did not. I don't know. Yeah. Shovel the Kaiser in there too, just to be safe.
Well, what I'm saying is anti-smoking legislation is tyranny, actually. I like to point that out to Corinne whenever she gets too feisty about nicotine. Just like, you know who else wanted to ban it? Hitler.
They recently, this year, 2022, in case whatever year you're listening to this, passed a smoking ban indoors in Armenia finally.
Pussy
and
shit.
I have to say, it's quite nice.
Yeah, fair enough.
Now, so the Kingani had to build up steam to try to get away from these two tiny boats that were quickly ripping towards it.
Just the image makes me so happy.
It's like the T-Rex versus the Velociraptor from like Jurassic Park, except everybody's even dumber. And like oh shit, we have to buy time, right? So the captain of the Kingani orders like them to open fire at the two ships, only to realize that the motorboats move faster than the gunner can aim and fire.
Ooh.
Yeah. Now the Mimi's gun wouldn't fire as far, and Touto's for that matter, couldn't fire as far as the Kingani's. So this is where things get kind of cartoonish. Spicer, wearing a dress and having one of those cigarette holders clenched between his teeth like the goddamn penguin, ordered his tiny boat to charge the Germans to close the distance. And the whole time he's just like standing at the peak like he's the king of the world.
Oh, Bastard Commander shit, yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this is when the crew of the Mimi learn that it's really fucking hard to aim a cannon on a motorboat that's going full bore across the lake, because it's just
right.
bouncing up and down. For anybody who's never been on like a shitty fishing boat and tearing off across a decent sized lake, you get the shit knocked out of you by waves. So like he couldn't aim the gun. However, after several tries, they did hit the Kingani. Like they were firing, like going wildly over. I think it took like 4 shots to actually hit it. But somehow this one shot was all it took, because it was such a good shot. It slammed directly into the deck gun, blew through the gunner shield, which that just so happened to be where the entire command team of the ship was standing, and all of them got annihilated.
Kill zone. You know, the Unreal Tournament multi-kill.
I need to get that as a drop.
Multi-kill.
The shell hit the shield, and like the captain, his second command, and his third in command were all immediately killed. The ship's entire chain of command was evaporated on accident.
I gotta tell you, it's pretty fucking embarrassing to lose to whatever the Meow is. Get your ass kicked by a boat named Meow, basically.
Getting your ass kicked by a boat named the Mimi, which is being captained by the British Penguin. So, good news though. The ship had a mascot, which was a goat, and was standing right next to the deck gun, completely unharmed.
Actually became fast friends with Josephine.
Actually, hold on to that thought.
Oh boy.
No, the last surviving officer aboard the Kingani was an engineer.
Suddenly now in command.
Yes, exactly. And he was below deck, trying to build up steam so he could get the fuck away. And someone ran down to him like, "Everyone's dead. You're in charge." He's like, "Oh man!" And he immediately ran up a white flag. So he surrendered the boat. The crew, the ship itself, and everything on board was captured. Nobody made any attempts to scuttle the ship at all. And for some horrific reason, when the crew of there's the Mimi or the Toutou, I can't remember which, climbed aboard the Kingani, they began scooping up the blood and like the brain matter of the German command team that had just been blasted for souvenirs.
All right. Whatever, fucking. You know what, man? Whatever. What's a prey fucking country in history, man?
We've talked about souvenir keeping on a couple occasions. I think this might be the first time anybody's ever like greedily scooped up blood. Yeah,
that's good. That's good eating. Where are you gonna put it? Are they carrying jars with them?
Maybe it's like a necklace situation.
Don't like that.
Yeah, it's not good. And they kept the goat. The goat became friends. Somewhat miraculously stemming from the battle, the Kingani had barely been damaged.
Okay, because I guess one direct hit, yeah, but the rest of the shit was more or less fine, right?
Yeah, they had to replace the gun with one that the Belgians had laying around, like an extra one.
Sure.
And the surrounding damage from the exploding gun ammo that was up there with them, but it wasn't very bad.
Oh, sure.
Which actually meant that they had damaged their own boats more previously just trying to use them than the German had by shooting at it.
Well done, boys.
Then Spicer renamed the Kingani the HMS Fifi.
At some point, you gotta just sort of applaud him, right? Like,
he's leaning into it. You gotta respect him.
He is. He's just like, I don't want to be here. You don't want to be here. Like,
interesting note. I was trying to see like what Fifi meant. It's like, he claims that Mimi Toutou means like woof or bow wow and woof, meow.
Right.
The only thing I could find was Fifi is a prison term for pocket pussy.
I don't. All right. Whatever, man. It's fucking whatever. We're doing weird like cardboard boat races with machine guns on a fucking lake that doesn't matter.
Hell yeah, like, bro. I mean, he now actually has a real boat, and his fleet would grow. Because the Belgians gifted him the Alexander Del.
Don't say gift. Don't say gifted.
They gifted.
Say gave.
They gifted.
We had no. Stop it. We had a fucking verb already. You're a writer.
They gifted.
Get it together.
It was a gift.
Stop that. I hate that so fucking much, dude. Gift. I cannot tolerate that shit. It was for I honestly cannot tolerate that shit.
It was for
we already
Boxing
fucking had
Day.
a word.
It was a Boxing Day.
They gave it. They gave it. They gave it. We had the verb already. It's gave.
Gifted.
We don't need gifted is stupid. I fucking hate that so much. Who started saying like I fucking hate that shit. I honestly fucking hate that shit.
That's what word I'm gonna use more often.
Yeah, I fucking know, dude. Where's Nick?
He's dead. I killed him. Harvest him for meat.
That's sweet succulent Nick meat.
Mwah. That's why I sent him to Korea first to get fattened up on bulgogi so I could harvest him.
Yeah, that's not crazy to me.
Now, this ship was called the Alexander Day Commune, which was actually previously sank. They refloated it and repaired it and then gave it to them, which meant like it wasn't much of a gift.
They did what? Thank you.
It wasn't much of a gift because it was already previously like, hey, my man, I got a boat for you. Only sank once. You want it? No, I really don't.
But my friend, for you, excellent value.
For you, free. For you, it's free. The Belgians also gave them a speedboat called the Netta. And then for some reason, the Del Commune was renamed the HMS Vanguer, which I think just means vengeance.
Sure.
And I know my friends' pronunciations are perfect. You guys don't have to keep telling me. I know they're great. Spicer was also finally promoted to commander rather than just acting commander. But he was still calling himself a rear admiral, so that's kind of a demotion for him. I don't know why he went with rear admiral either. You've already lied your way up like 6 ranks. You might as well go all the way. I'm the first lord of the admiralty out here on this fucking lake.
Why the hell not, dude?
Yeah. Of course, he also took credit for taking the shot that killed the entire German command team. And it wasn't him.
You know what I did? I did it without semaphore too. All my losses was lessons.
It was his gunner that did it. But he whenever he tells these stories, because remember the guy we're talking about here, he does everything. He does all the important stuff.
Right.
But yeah, which of course makes his crew hate him even worse. Because remember, everybody also hates him. The only thing that stopped the Germans from going out and looking for this missing ship, because the Kingani just never came back one day, was the coming of winter. And even the region, and it was only a lake, I know, gets really bad weather. So over the winter, waves get bad, rain,
lake effect stuff.
Yeah. Lake conditions are bad, and Lake Tanganyika is big enough where that's a fucking problem.
Where it matters. Yeah.
Like for instance, in the Great Lakes in the United States, the weather gets fucking awful, especially like Superior, which eats ships all the time. Maybe not as much anymore, but this certainly used to.
Rock of the Evan Fitzgerald, baby.
Never forget. God,
didn't you have to sing that?
Yeah, all the time. Which in retrospect is kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
What can I say? Gordon Lightfoot has some bangers.
Yeah, unequivocally, yes.
It's going to be the fucking intro to this episode, and nobody's have any idea what we're talking about for like an hour. It's going to be great. But it also brought flooding because, too much rain and no flood infrastructure, whatever. And also it's noted that it was just swarms of flies, which just bugs me to no end. I fucking hate flies. I hate mosquitoes, but I hate flies.
Same. Yeah, same.
So all these guys were just like laying around in their lakefront huts, just being savaged by flies. And one of the floods almost completely took the Toutou, from the harbor, and they were able to save it. Finally, in mid-January, the Hedwig von Wiesmann, the German steamboat under the command of Job Aldebrecht, ventured out to find out, hey, whatever fucking happened to the Kingani, which is kind of funny to me because it's been well over a month. It's like you're in a lake, my man. Where could it have gone? There's two places it goes: back to you or the floor of the lake. Unless, of course, there be British. And they didn't Odebrecht didn't actually know that because nobody had confirmed it yet. They thought that they were Belgians who they knew were around the lake because they've been fighting them for a while. But anyway, he floated up to the British camp there. Immediately saw something that looked strikingly like the Kingani because, they captured it and renamed it.
There's only so many boats, man.
Yeah, because they captured it and renamed it Prison Pocket Pussy. And right as this was happening, Spicer ordered the Vangeur, the Mimi, and the Fifi to attack him all at once. Toutou was sidelined due to damage. At this point, Odebrecht bailed the fuck out, not wanting to deal with this shit. Now, they kept the chase up. The Fifi couldn't keep up due to being, much, much bigger, which was originally the problem in the first place. But the Mimi kept up no problem because that's what it's good for, right? So now you have this big paddle steamer being chased by a single motorboat. And this is where the Germans probably should have been able to fuck up the Mimi pretty easily, but there was one design flaw. Yeah, the Wiesmann had a pretty glaring design flaw. Its cannons were on the front of it, so it couldn't shoot as it was running away.
Oh, that's bad. You gotta put guns on the back too, boys.
Just a machine gun at the very least would be able to fuck this up pretty good. Just a regular old machine gun would have rendered Spicy's fleet completely powerless because it's wood. You're gonna eat it up. But Odebrecht figured, he's alone. Like we can do this. So this forced him to flip a bitch in his boat and bring his 6-pounder cannons to the front so he could open fire.
Sure.
Of course, this meant that the Mimi could move around much faster, fucking up the gunner's aim. And for some reason, Spicer, who was aboard the Mimi, kept missing again. Not even close. He was actually firing them this time. Because people criticized him the first time around for claiming that he had taken out the Kingani when he hadn't. So he's just going ham.
I'll show you.
Yeah, I could totally do this. And he's just flinging rounds wildly, even for they were badly aimed, even for bouncing across the lake. And that is when another crewman saw that it's because Spicer had actually ranged the cannon completely wrong because he had no idea what he was doing. So the crewman fixed it, and while Spicer is getting ready to fire an on-target shot, maybe. There was a misfire.
Probably not, though. Oh, hey, what a surprise.
Thankfully, it didn't blow up in his face. But
I can't believe SS Pocket Pussy didn't work out so good.
Her glorious HMS Pocket Pussy had fallen behind because it was too slow. This is Meow.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, put some respect on Her Majesty's ship, the Pocket Pussy.
Of course, my fault.
So Spicer had to call the whole thing off because, when a misfire happens, they have to wait because they've been firing so much, the cannon has to cool down before they can extract it.
Right, I too have played Call of Duty.
Yeah, unless the shell explodes in their face. Now, so they just kind of like cut the engine and were floating there, assuming that the Germans would take this as an opportunity to bail, but they didn't. Odebrecht took this as a possible, as an opening to counterattack. And the reason for this was Odebrecht thought that the main German ship, the Graf von Goetzen, which was very heavily armed, even for a shitty...
Stupid name.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb. Even for a dumb lake monster paddle ship, it was pretty well armed, mostly because they cannibalized the actual Navy cruiser, the Königsberg, to arm it. So it had more than enough power to wipe off this tiny, British puddled fleet off the face of the earth. And Odebrecht figured that he has to be coming soon. The ship is going to be coming to his assistance. So instead of using it as an opening to run, he waited, expecting it to show up any second now.
Oh, boy.
And as he was waiting, biding his time for the perfect revenge, this went on for over 10 minutes. 15
Jesus
minutes,
Christ.
which is how much time that they needed to fix the Mimi's gun and fire again.
Mm-hmm.
And again, in one lucky shot, they fucking totaled a warship. Ship for war, whatever.
Yeah.
One shot smashed through the boiler room, hit the boiler, and caused it to explode, which...
Incredible.
We talked about boilers during our War of the Triple Alliance, because this happened frequently there. It's boiling hot water that explodes across the inside, packed full of men. So it just turns everybody into that scene from
Soup.
Indiana Jones, where their faces are melting.
Yeah, where the face is melting off. Yeah.
But that's the whole crew down there, oh no, okay,
Not having a good time.
Yeah. It's that when you're really happy and you're partying, your face melts like that. Many people don't know that. They're having such a good time.
Part of my nose clean off my face.
And the Odebrecht realized, oh, we're fucked. He ordered everybody to abandon ship, and he did the right thing as a naval officer and destroyed his own ship as they bailed out.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow, amidst all of this and being led by a human cartoon character in a war characterized by navies armed to the teeth with dreadnoughts, this was the first time that a German naval ensign, which is the flag, the official flag of the German Navy, Kriegsmarine, whatever, had been captured, floating across the lake and picked up at the end of a cane by Spicer riding on a motorboat while wearing a skirt and smoking a penguin cigarette with his name anagrammed
his
on
own
it.
dick.
Yep, that's probably one of the weirdest firsts during World War I that I found. Now, after all this, blasting men to a fine pace with naval gunfire, Spicer and his captured German captain sat down and had a nice dinner together.
Well, it's important to build camaraderie. I don't know, man.
The gentlemanly aspect of war is so stupid that existed still back then. It's all dead now, but it solidly got murdered mostly after World War II. But the idea, I know that I just murdered 5 of your men with boiling hot water and explosions, but how about a nice, boiled meat or whatever it is that they ate? Would you like to be pals? Now, the next day, the Goatsyn finally showed up, floating by the British camp, and saw what was almost unmistakably the Kingani there, and the Wiesman was gone. Now, upon seeing the Goatsyn,
they're flying a flag that just says "scoreboard," bitches.
I would like to believe that the British, along with their crocodile servants, built an actual scoreboard. Just illuminating the night above the lake.
You wouldn't believe what it costs us to run this thing.
Yeah, and here's the weird part. Again, the Goatsyn didn't do anything. And this time, neither did Spicer. He vastly outnumbered the Goatsyn. He probably could have swarmed it again, but he didn't. They just kind of floated on by. I assume it's like the captain leaning out the window, shaking his fist, like "damn you" or whatever that is in German.
Shaking his fist as he. You know what? No, never mind. I'm keeping that joke for me.
Then, out of nowhere, nobody is sure why, Spicer bounced. He just left. Reportedly, he went to Leopoldville, which is the capital of the Belgian Congo. Solid, horrible name.
Does what it says on the tin.
Yeah, it's like, if you excuse me, I'm going to go to Hitler's town. There doesn't seem to be any naval reasons or records that this was approved. He just left.
It doesn't matter. This dude's going to do whatever he wants anyway.
Yeah, that's true. He ghosted his crew, leaving his second Wainwright in charge with specific orders to not attack the Goatson no matter what, unless it was in self-defense.
Feels kind of treasony.
Yeah, I think when he was given the mission, the British only knew about the Wiesman. They weren't sure about the Goatson. So his mission was to destroy the Wiesman and claim the lake. Technically, he had done that. He doesn't control the lake because the Goatson's still out there. But he's like, well, I technically finished my mission, which is the best kind of complete. And not to mention,
I'm going home. Bye.
Yeah, I've seen enough. Spicer was always a guy that wanted to go get glory for himself.
Oh yeah,
and he'd done it. And I think seeing the Goatson, he's like, "Ooh, that seems dangerous. Let's not do that."
Let's not do that.
Now, there's also another possibility here, and that is, according to Spicer, he left because he's trying to get control of a boat named the St. George, which was made out of steel and much more sturdy than his wooden motorboats, which belonged to the British consul in Leopoldville. Now, he had no orders to requisition this, and he kind of...
We have established that does not matter for this guy.
Sure, but also he just kind of went on an RPG item fetch quest to try to unlock a better boat for his fleet. But the thing is he wasn't a rear admiral to the consul because he was only that to his men who would have put up with his bullshit. He was just some weird commander with no orders who showed up to the consul like, give me your boat. And they're just like, what? No, that's stupid. Why would I do that?
Shut up.
So after trying to do it the legal way, Spicer wrangled up some dudes and stole the goddamn thing and
outstanding work.
Loaded it up on a train to do the same thing all over again. Now, there is an idea that Spicer was waiting to get the St. George to the lake before he tried to fight the Goatson, but the St. George never showed up on time. It showed up after the mission was over, so because it's 1,500 miles away. Now, this trip took Spicer months, and in the meantime, his crew literally just sat around and did nothing as the war changed around them. The Allied African campaign, which had begun in earnest in May of 1916, when Spicer finally turned back up at the lake, was finally happening all around them. And he was given orders to advance through the lake and support the ground attack through what is today Zambia. And then another thing that nobody's entirely sure of why, Spicy ordered the goat to be executed.
What?
Yeah.
Come on, nowhere. Man.
No, the dudes had become friends with this goat while he was gone. He just showed up, shoot it.
What a dick.
And then the goat was given a full military funeral.
Okay. I guess. No, you know what? It doesn't make it better. That sucks.
Imagine being ordered to kill the goat for no reason and then render it honors. We could have just kept it alive. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Josephine the chimp, however, was spared and would join them on their support mission. Now, here's something that still, again, nobody is sure why. Spicer refused to do his job. He had orders to go into combat against the German forts that lined their side of the lake and just bomb them effectively, right? To open the lake up and also just park there with his fleet and make sure that Germans couldn't escape across the lake. So when he saw the forts, he immediately decided that it was too dangerous and pulled back. Now, Of course, this opened up the lake because the Germans are very easily able to escape across it on small boats. And then when he showed up the next day, he got laughed and mocked at by the infantry that are on shore because it turned out that these heavily armed forts that he had run away from were dummies. They weren't armed, and the cannons were like a tree stump sticking out of a window.
Oh, good.
Yeah. He got yelled at. He got in trouble, of course, for refusing to do his job.
For all the things, yeah. Like, the time has come and gone to yell at this guy. It does not matter anymore.
And then there was another incident where the Belgian...
This dude just loves incidents.
This man, his middle name is the Incident. There's another problem where the Belgians want to cross the lake because, obviously it's much easier to simply get loaded up on these ships and transport across and then march all the way the fuck around it. And Spicer refused.
What? Come on, man! You built so much goodwill for me, and then you ruined it.
And then to make things even funnier, because there's Belgian ships on the lake.
Dug up the goat and shot it again. I don't fucking know.
Dug up the goat and punched it in its face. The Belgian ships were about to go help the Belgian military, and Spicer stopped them because he was in command of all ships on the lake. This meant that he was refusing to let the Belgians help themselves.
What an asshole.
Soon his own officers turned against him, not sure why. Their boss, who seemingly before was obsessed with war, refused to be involved in it now. And they also began to question his command because, of course, they did. Soon,
understandable.
Yeah. And this led Spicer to withdraw completely. He would only talk to his officers via letter and a hand-carried letter, despite the fact they all literally lived right next to one another. Right. And then one day he simply stopped coming out of his hut, literally, to do anything. He didn't even bathe.
This sounds like just a mental breakdown, then.
Yeah, he refused to get out of his bed and kind of by default left command to Wainwright, his second. And because he didn't leave any orders, he just stopped showing up. While he was locked away in his room, listening to what I assume is Fall Out Boy and telling his mom this was not a phase, the Belgian Air Force bombed the Graf von Goetzen. Now, because this is a World War I Air Force that didn't.
Oh god! So they tossed bombs out the side.
Pretty much, yeah. It didn't really do any damage.
With just "suck it" written on them.
Yeah, it didn't really do any damage. However,
yeah, I'm not shocked.
At this point, the Goetzen was actually unarmed.
It sucked that shit.
The guns had all been removed, and the crew was literally just floating
hanging
there
around
as a deterrent. All of the cannons had been dragged ashore for field use. But the captain of the ship decided that he didn't want it falling in enemy hands, knowing that the time was running out because the Allies were capturing the area around the lake. So he sank it.
Fair enough.
So the Battle of Lake Tanganyika, in the end, was won entirely without Spicer at all, and actually without his ships too.
Yeah, that's keeping in theme.
Yeah. The Goetzen was dead, and now the lake was completely in Allied hands.
Congratulations, morons who did it.
The battle finally over, and their brave warrior Captain Spicer still locked in his room. Dr. Hanschel, which, if you remember, is the...
Josephine assumes command.
the Rear Admiral Josephine Chimpanzee. But Dr. Hanschel decided that they needed to do something about this. He declared him a medical invalid, which is old-timey speak for, pretty much anything. Mostly mental health related. But so he could go home and get rest, because that's kind of it was pretty clear that Spicer was suffering from pretty crippling PTSD.
Right.
And, back then they called it various different things, but amongst them was combat exhaustion, shell shock, trench brain. I don't fucking know.
Trench brain.
Got a serious case of trench brain. But they believe that the number one cure for this is rest. So,
okay.
And occasionally getting slapped around, I assume, is this a normal good cure?
Yeah, by a guy whose only problem with the death camps was that they were in Germany and not in America.
Oh yeah, Patton.
Yep. He's dead and I'm not, so who on that one, bitch?
He died in a fucking scooter accident, which is probably one of the funniest things.
Guess what I haven't done? Died in a scooter accident because I'm not a bitch. Scoreboard.
somewhere like when you're gonna be walking down the streets of Philly, there's gonna be a scooter like silently creeping towards you in the shadows. It's gonna sneak up behind you, grab your chin in the back of your head, like Patton sent me, and just like break your fucking neck.
Nah, I'll be fine. I'm unkillable, as we've established.
But yeah, he sent him home to get rest.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah. And he had paperwork to prove so, like all of his medical records, whatever. And maybe take it to the British military hospital where they attach leeches to your eyes and call you a homophobic slur to cure you. However, when Spicer learned that he was being sent home, it wasn't like a, no, I don't want to go or whatever situation. He immediately jumped up, packed his bags, and walked out of his room smiling like nothing had happened, which might be the happiest anybody's ever been for going back to England.
I guess congratulations.
Yeah. When he arrived back in England, the Navy had already had the doctor's order and had been told about what was going on. He'd been diagnosed with acute mental debility. Though Spicer told him that he had malaria, dysentery, cholera, amongst other horrible diseases, so he had no choice but to come home.
Whatever in there.
Yeah, I had dropsy, the flux, rickets.
You hate to have dropsy.
He also told him that he had been wounded in combat, which he had not been.
No, he had been. Shut up.
And then the Navy knew all of this is a lie. So there's like, yeah, sure, whatever you say, bro. Just come back in a couple weeks after you go see your wife and rest up. Now, he had awards showered onto him seemingly at the same rate as he was being reprimanded for refusing to do his job after the sinking of the Wiesman. He wrote huge amounts of letters to newspapers telling them all about his story and how he totally personally sank all of those boats. And unlike the Navy, who was used to his bullshit, the press loved this guy because, of course, he was an eccentric who was willing to talk to them. The newspapers declared him a hero and the, quote, Nelson on the African lake.
Okay. You know what? Sure.
Nelson months, I assume. Though the Navy didn't think a whole lot of him in this whole mess. They would never put him in charge of another goddamn thing ever again. He was never to be promoted again. And he was immediately sent back to that same desk where he was sitting in where this whole thing started. He eventually left the Navy, retiring, of course,
finally,
and then died in 1947.
Oh, that's a hell of a life after.
Yeah. I also saw something that, like, when World War II started, despite the fact he was older than dust at that point, he
put me in,
yeah,
coach.
That's exactly what he did, which reminds me of like Teddy Roosevelt tried to do the same thing in World War I, despite the fact he was like obese and 70 years old.
You love the confidence.
Yeah. Like absolutely insane shit, but like love the fucking motivation, guys. Even if I'm actually willing to bet in 1941 or whatever, if he wasn't a naval officer with a proven track record of horribly incompetent failure, that Navy would be like, you know what, fine, fuck it, you're back in, baby.
Yeah, good luck. See ya.
But they're like, wait, who are you again? No, absolutely not.
I'm back, bitch.
No, there is one thing about this story that somehow survives to this day. And depending on where you want to go for a fun little jaunt through the woods, you can experience it. That is the Goatson. It lives on. It was refloated in 1924, renamed the MV Limba, and still serves as a ferry on the lake to this day.
Amazing. Wow.
Now,
wow.
Which sounds, don't get me wrong, terrifyingly unsafe. But I want to go on it so bad.
Yeah, me too.
It still goes across Lake Tanganyika every single day.
Amazing.
Spicer's insane story was the inspiration for a novel that you probably haven't heard of, but a film that you probably have, the 1951 Humphrey Bogart film, The African Queen. Yep, that was based on this.
The White Queen of Africa. The African Queen was the boat.
Now, as for the Mimi and the Toutou, because like they just kind of left, nobody has any idea whatever happened to them, despite the fact they're the prized, glorious warships of the Queen. They fell off the military register, and probably at the end of the war, they were sold off to a civilian fleet, given to the Belgians.
Sure.
Nobody's entirely sure. Nobody kept track of them. Now, the Giles Foden, the author of Mimi and Toutou Go Forth, tried to find them when he was writing his book.
Sure.
And what the weird,
nothing doing.
Honestly, the weirder part is everybody knew what he was talking about. All of the locals around the lake were like, "Oh yeah, we know about those boats." He was told that they all sank nearby, like they were pressed into civilian service, like fishing boats, something like that. The motors broke, so they returned to the paddle boats, and they sank. But he was unable to confirm that because the lake isn't very clear. So like he tried to like explore, and he just saw like darkness.
Just got nothing. Sure.
So I personally would say that's not true, and instead they're on the lake today as like there's the celestial boat ghosts hunting the MV Limba, which used to be the goat sin.
Yep.
And that is
100%, dude.
That is the Battle of Lake Tanganyika, probably one of the weirder naval stories that we'll ever talk about. Now, like I say, weird as in like has weird guys in charge, not like weird as in like the Battle of Tsushima, which is just one of the most abject failures you could possibly fucking read about when it comes to naval history. But yeah, that's it. How you feeling about our boy Spicy?
He killed the goat, man. I'm not thrilled.
Yeah, it's not great. He was good. He was going great until then. Like I do feel like he had like a mental breakdown. He took it on the goat.
Oh yeah. That was sort of my been there. Although I've never killed a goat. So
I've killed a goat, but it was for food, not a mental breakdown.
Yeah, fair enough. Man's got to eat.
And I did not hold him a military funeral afterwards for it, unfortunately.
Oh, you're a bastard.
I know. Now, Liam, we do a thing on the show called Questions from the Legion. If you'd like to ask us a question from the Legion, donate to the show. It's just $1. You can DM me on Patreon. It's not called a DM on Patreon. It's a message. You can message me on Patreon. You can DM me on Twitter, whatever. I don't care. And ask us a question. We'll answer at the end of a show. Today's question comes from the Patreon, a very long thread of questions from the Legion. And it calls into question an age-old debate, Liam. Would you rather be psychic or have super strength?
Oh, super strength.
Yeah, me too. I don't
want to fucking know what anyone's thinking ever.
Being a psychic seems like a curse.
I would just get my feelings hurt.
Yes. Being a psychic seems like a fucking, like, a witch's curse. I was thinking of
telepathy. Yeah, no, I either said, no, I don't want to, no, dude. I want to be able to just, like, chuck fucking cards at people like the Avengers. I don't want to fucking
I'm gonna fold telepathy in with psychic powers, because you don't see someone that's like can like throw things across the room with their mind. Well, that also can't like I don't know.
Absolutely not.
It's like a twisted version of that Mel Gibson
film.
Strength.
Super strength. That's what I'm taking.
Yeah, I would. Now, like I'll run you one more. Psychic, super strength, or flying.
Flying.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick flying. Especially as someone who just sat on a plane for 20-something hours, I'd much rather just fly.
Did you? Did you fly to Armenia? Oh my god!
I mean, how much better would it be if you could just like fly as fast? Not like now. There's Superman flying who flies at like the speed of sound or whatever, and then there's just like
right. Let's assume like maybe 30-40 miles an hour.
We'll go like Goku speeds here.
Right.
Because like 30-40 miles an hour, it's going to take you forever to get anywhere. Like planes go hundreds of miles per hour and it still takes them
I'm just going to
forever.
bop around. Yeah, but they're pressurized. I'm just going to bop around Philly.
I mean, I assume if you have, and if people disagree here, please write into the show. If you have the ability to fly, you're also somehow just pressurized.
We're assuming we've worked the kinks out?
Yeah,
okay, fair enough.
Like, it's not like, oh no, I've gone too high and your head explodes or whatever.
Sure, okay, fair enough.
It's kind of like the cartoon Invincible where they can like fly into orbit, you know?
Right.
Anyway, that's us nerding out about possible superpowers. Liam, plug your shows.
Well, there's your problem. It's a leftist engineering disasters podcast with slides. I'm on this piece of shit show called Lions Live by Donkeys. My co-host licks his own butt.
That's true.
And it is true. And what's the other fucking thing? 10,000 Losses.
The host of Lions Live by Donkeys is an accomplished yogi.
Thank you.
And thank you everybody for listening. If you like what we do, consider supporting us on Patreon, Lines Led by Donkeys / or Patreon / Lines Led by Donkeys.
Outstanding work. Good morning, Joe.
I started doing this at 6 a.m. We do not have our own web domain. Don't type it the first one.
Don't do that. It's probably porn. Not the good kind.
Probably is porn, or it's that weird British group. For as little as $1, you can get access to our Discord. Episodes early, you get a bonus episode a month, get all sorts of stuff. Or if you don't feel like donating to the show, that's fine, it's your money, but leaving a review is free and it helps us. I know I've gotten a lot of good ones recently. It's always good to see. Yeah, thanks for that. And until next time, don't have a mental breakdown and take it out on a goat.
Yeah. Oh, R.I.P. Goatly.